Savage.
Now, about your book, Willful Blindness, what prompted you to write the book?
Willful Blindness is really it's a memoir in the sense that it reflects some events that I had the privilege of participating in about 15 years ago, but it's more a story, not really a story about me, but a story about the challenge of Islamic terrorism that we have faced for, I think, reasonably, you could say, going back decades, but I would put the World Trade Center bombing of 1993 as certainly radical Islam's declaration of war against the United States. And I happen to have been the lead prosecutor in the seditious conspiracy case that we had against the blind sheikh, Omar Abdul Rahman, and about 11 other jihadists who not only were involved in the World Trade Center bombing, but after that bombing actually came up with an even more audacious plot to bomb New York City landmarks. They wanted to take out the Lincoln and Holland tunnels, the United Nations complex, and the FBI's headquarters in Lower Manhattan. When we finally were confronted by the bombing in a way that we actually had to look at and deal with radical Islam for the first time, what we regrettably found was that these people had really been plotting jihadist activity right under our noses after really starting up a beachhead in the New York, New Jersey area in the late 1980s. The plotters of the Trade Center bombing, for example, actually included Saeed Nossair, who committed one of the most famous homicides in the history of New York City. In November of 1990, after a lecture, he actually, in a room full of people, walked up and shot Meir Kahane, the rabbi who was the founder of the Jewish Defense League and also was an Israeli legislator. He really a very brazen murder. He killed Kahane and then shot the 70-year-old man who was trying to block his way out of the doorway of the meeting hall, and then ran out onto the streets of New York, where he ultimately had a shootout with a postal police officer, whom he didn't kill only because the guy happened to be wearing his bulletproof vest, and shot it out with Nossair until Nossair was finally taken down. He lived, and not only ultimately was acquitted of the most serious charges against him, but also managed in the prison cell that he had in Attica Prison to plot a lot of the World Trade Center bombing with people who were involved in that attack who would come up and meet with him in Attica Prison.